Finding an affordable place to live in the United States is becoming more important than ever. As rents continue to put pressure on household budgets in many major cities, more Americans are looking beyond the most famous destinations and asking a simple question: where can you still live comfortably without spending most of your paycheck on rent? The good news is that affordable options still exist. Across the Midwest, South, and other parts of the country, there are cities where renters can find more manageable housing costs while still enjoying jobs, restaurants, entertainment, healthcare, parks, and other everyday amenities. And some of these cities may be places you haven't seriously considered before. So, which American cities offer some of the most affordable rental opportunities? In this video, we're counting down the 10 U.S. cities with the most affordable rent. We'll explore what makes each destination attractive and why renters are looking beyond America's most expensive markets. Stay with us until the end to discover which city takes the number 1 spot, and you might be surprised by how far your money can go. Number 10, Buffalo, New York. What if you could live in New York without paying the prices most people associate with the state? When people hear New York, they often imagine Manhattan apartments, expensive neighborhoods, and extremely high rents. But Buffalo tells a very different story, and that's exactly why it deserves a place on this list. Buffalo offers a combination that can be difficult to find in many parts of the country: relatively affordable housing, established neighborhoods, access to jobs and services, and the amenities of a genuine American city. Residents can enjoy restaurants, healthcare, universities, parks, sports, and cultural attractions without necessarily paying the same housing premiums found in New York City's metropolitan area. But here's the interesting part: affordability doesn't mean Buffalo is isolated or lacking opportunities. The city is part of a larger regional economy and has been attracting attention from people looking for more manageable housing costs. For renters, the possibility of keeping more of their monthly income can make a huge difference in their overall quality of life. Number 9, Tucson, Arizona. Imagine living in a city surrounded by mountains and desert landscapes while paying considerably less in rent than you might expect from a popular Sun Belt destination. That's Tucson, Arizona, a city that offers an unusual combination of outdoor living, urban amenities, and relatively accessible housing. Tucson is home to the University of Arizona and has a diverse economy involving education, healthcare, aerospace, defense, tourism, and technology. Residents also have access to hiking, cycling, national parks, desert scenery, and some of the most distinctive landscapes in the American Southwest. But there's another reason renters should pay attention. Tucson can provide a different cost profile from larger Arizona markets such as Phoenix. For someone who wants Arizona's warm climate and outdoor lifestyle without automatically choosing the state's largest metropolitan area, Tucson can be an interesting alternative. Of course, the desert heat isn't for everyone, and that's an important trade-off. But if climate works for you, Tucson can offer something increasingly difficult to find: a recognizable American city where rent doesn't necessarily consume your entire paycheck. Number 8, Huntsville, Alabama. What if low rent didn't mean sacrificing career opportunities? Huntsville has become one of the most interesting cities in the South because it combines relatively affordable housing with a strong economy driven by technology, aerospace, defense, and engineering. The city has a major connection to NASA, the U.S. military, research, and aerospace industries. That has helped attract highly skilled workers and businesses while creating an economy that is quite different from what many outsiders might expect from a smaller southern city. For renters, the appeal becomes even more interesting when housing costs are compared with major technology hubs. Someone working in engineering, technology, healthcare, or defense may be able to find professional opportunities without facing the enormous housing costs associated with places such as Silicon Valley or Seattle. And here's the question: how many cities can offer strong technical employment, outdoor recreation, growing neighborhoods, and relatively affordable rent at the same time? Huntsville is one of them. But the next city takes affordability into the Midwest, where renters can potentially get even more space for their money. Number 7, Omaha, Nebraska. Imagine renting an apartment in a city with a strong economy, major employers, excellent services, and a cost of living that remains more approachable than many famous American metropolitan areas. That's Omaha, Nebraska. Omaha has a diverse economy supported by finance, healthcare, insurance, telecommunications, education, transportation, and other industries. It also has restaurants, entertainment, sports, parks, and established neighborhoods, giving residents many of the conveniences they expect from a larger city. But the real attraction for renters is the balance. Omaha isn't simply cheap because it's a tiny town with limited opportunities. It's a functioning metropolitan area with a substantial economy and a wide range of services. That makes the relationship between rent and income particularly important for people trying to build a stable financial life. And this is where the list starts getting more interesting. If Omaha can combine affordability with a strong economy, what happens when we move to another Midwestern city where housing costs can be even more attractive? That's exactly what we'll discover next. Number 6, Des Moines, Iowa. What if one of the smartest moves for a renter isn't moving to the biggest city, but choosing a smaller metropolitan area with a surprisingly strong economy? Des Moines is a perfect example of that strategy. As Iowa's capital and largest city, Des Moines has developed strong industries in insurance, finance, healthcare, government, and professional services. The city also offers restaurants, cultural attractions, parks, entertainment, and suburban communities, giving residents plenty of options without the scale of a major coastal metropolis. For renters, that smaller scale can be an advantage. Housing costs can be more manageable, commutes can be shorter, and residents may have more opportunities to choose neighborhoods based on lifestyle rather than simply choosing whatever they can afford. But Des Moines also raises an important question. How much would your life change if housing stopped consuming such a large portion of your income? That question becomes even more interesting as we move toward the top 5, where affordability becomes one of the biggest reasons to pay attention. Number 5, Little Rock, Arkansas. What if you could combine affordable rent with mountains, rivers, outdoor recreation, and a relaxed southern lifestyle? Little Rock offers exactly that combination, and it's one of the reasons the Arkansas capital deserves attention from renters. Little Rock is the state's largest city and offers healthcare, government, education, retail, logistics, and other employment opportunities. Residents also have access to parks, trails, the Arkansas River, nearby natural areas, restaurants, museums, and cultural attractions. But the biggest attraction may be what happens when housing costs are placed alongside the lifestyle. Renters may be able to find more space without moving hours away from employment and essential services. For families, young professionals, and people looking for a lower-cost alternative, that can be a significant advantage. And here's the twist, Little Rock isn't trying to compete with New York or Los Angeles. Its appeal comes from offering something completely different. More space, less pressure, and a lower-cost lifestyle. But the next city takes us to Indiana, where another affordable destination has quietly become a major option for people who want more house for their money. Number 4, Fort Wayne, Indiana. Imagine finding a city where your rent can potentially buy you something that would cost far more in a major coastal market. That's part of the appeal of Fort Wayne, Indiana. Fort Wayne is one of Indiana's largest cities and has a diverse economy involving healthcare, manufacturing, logistics, education, and professional services. It also has family-oriented neighborhoods, parks, restaurants, shopping, entertainment, and a growing selection of amenities. For renters, the city can be particularly interesting because affordability doesn't necessarily require giving up basic urban conveniences. You can have access to employment, healthcare, schools, restaurants, and entertainment while potentially spending much less on housing than you would in America's most expensive markets. And here's something many renters eventually discover: the cheapest rent isn't always the best deal. What matters is the combination of rent, income, commute, neighborhood, and quality of life. Fort Wayne becomes compelling because it can offer that broader balance. But we're now entering the top 3, and the next city is one of the strongest examples of affordability in the American Midwest. Number 3, Toledo, Ohio. What if one of the biggest advantages of living in Toledo is something you notice every single month when the rent is due? Toledo has long been known for relatively affordable housing, making it particularly interesting for renters who are tired of watching housing costs consume their income. Located in northwestern Ohio, Toledo offers access to healthcare, education, manufacturing, logistics, retail, and other industries. Its location also provides convenient access to larger regional destinations while maintaining a lower-cost environment. But affordability doesn't mean renters have nothing to do. Toledo has museums, parks, restaurants, sports, waterfront areas, cultural attractions, and nearby outdoor recreation. For someone who wants a genuine city environment without paying major metropolitan rents, that combination can be surprisingly attractive. And here's the question: how much money could you save over 5 years by choosing a city like Toledo instead of an expensive coastal market? That's the kind of calculation that can completely change where someone decides to live. But number 2 takes us to a city where affordability meets the scale of a growing state capital. Number 2, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. What if you could live in a large American city while still finding rents that are relatively affordable compared with many major metropolitan areas? Oklahoma City is one of the clearest examples of that possibility. Oklahoma City has a diversified economy involving energy, aviation, healthcare, logistics, government, manufacturing, and professional services. The city has also invested in downtown development, parks, entertainment, restaurants, and infrastructure, creating a much broader urban experience than outsiders might expect. For renters, one of the biggest attractions is simply space. Compared with many expensive markets, Oklahoma City can offer opportunities to live in larger apartments or homes without automatically paying enormous monthly rents. That can be especially valuable for families and people who prioritize space over living in the center of a massive coastal city. But Oklahoma City isn't number one by accident. The final city on this list combines affordability, employment opportunities, established neighborhoods, and one of the most attractive housing cost profiles in the country. And it may completely change the way you think about where affordable living is possible in America. Number 1, Wichita, Kansas. What if one of the best cities in America for low rent is a place most people outside the Midwest rarely think about? Wichita, Kansas, may not have the international fame of New York, Miami, or Los Angeles, but that's precisely what makes it interesting for renters. Wichita is Kansas' largest city and has a diverse economy with major connections to aviation and aerospace, manufacturing, healthcare, education, logistics, and professional services. It also offers restaurants, shopping, parks, museums, entertainment, and established residential neighborhoods. But the biggest attraction is the relationship between housing and everyday life. When rent is more manageable, residents may have more money available for savings, travel, family activities, investments, or simply enjoying life. For someone earning a moderate income, that difference can be much more meaningful than living in a famous city where almost every dollar disappears into housing.